Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through the Brisbane Lions versus Geelong Cats game, in which Dane Zorko basically took the piss in this game, and the only reason that is stopping all of us from grabbing him up is the fact that he is a round 12 bye, and we don't want to go too heavy on the round 12 bye. But maybe the thought process is that you can trade one off the round 12 bye, maybe a Fisher or something like that, and get an upgrade there. So I'm almost like reconsidering it now, just getting in a Dane Zorko or something like that, and maybe waiting another week for a Nick Dacos. But then again, I know that once I bring him in, he's probably going to get injured or something like that. But his role is really good at the moment, so it might be something that I just risk it for in AFL Fantasy or something like that. But before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the recap. So, as you can see here, going on Fan Footy, because DT Live is having a slow day. Dane Zorko, 127 AFL Fantasy points and 130 Supercoach, 26 touches, 8 marks, 6 tackles, 2 goals. I know the 2 goals won't probably happen more often, but I reckon he's going to get more marks than 8 on the in most games, given his role at the moment. It's quite ridiculous, to be honest with you. And yeah, so even the free kick count, I don't think he'll have one. I don't think he'll have -5 too often, to be honest. So I think he can go 115s on the regular, and so he may be actually a choice. Get him and like Flanders in for, I don't know, maybe a Luke Jackson and a Dempsey, and run with that, and then you'll see how the team performs, how the team sort of lines up, and then next week get like a D'Ambrosio out or something like that. But we'll wait and see how that goes, or maybe get a D'Ambrosio out this week. It depends how I need to do it, but I may try and skip over the likes of a Dacos. But he's against Essen. He's going to run amok there. He's going to put up a 130 score, so it is hard to go against Zorko. Maybe you give Zorko one more look or something like that, and then you pay up for him. I don't know exactly, but yeah, I'm looking at this Zorko move now. Berry, 117. He's done this a couple of times now, I swear, this year. So he's starting to live up to it. Berry here, if we look at him, he's now average 83. He's gone 120, 117. He really looks good in this sort of... I don't know whether it's an expanded role or something, but it's definitely something after the bye that he's done something and turned it up again. I don't know whether this is just because of the consequences of injuries that they've had, but yeah, in the last couple of games, he's really turned it on. And then you've got here Dunkley, a 90. Glad that I didn't go for him, as this is why top end guys, especially just this round 12, it's really annoying because you cannot pick any Brisbane guys up. So it is sort of annoying, I guess, in a sense. Hugh McCluggage, 87. He, again, 26 touches, 4 and 3. Just another classy game from him. McCarthy, even though he went at 65, but that is in the wet, so it's probably like 75% in the dry. Ainsworth, Wilmot, Lockie Neal, 28 disposal, only 3 tackle effort, not really doing much, to be honest with you. 75% with the ball is pretty good in wet conditions. Joe Danaher had to go in the ruck as McInerney got injured. Wouldn't touch Danaher, given that it is it's only a week for McInerney. If this was the last game of the season or whatnot, and you had a trade left or something like that, and you were full premium, you could take a risk on Joe Danaher being the solo ruck. But I think they'll just bring in Fort, or who do they have in the twos? They've got guys in the twos that they'll bring in instead. So not worried about that injury to McInerney. Payne, Andrews, Hipwood, Gardner, Rayner, Lohman, a 49 again. So pretty happy that I didn't go there in either format at the moment. He's just sort of scoring around that marker. I mean, he did that without any goals, so will be interesting next week. I don't know who Brisbane have, but I'm pretty sure that surely they have an easier matchup. Let's look at Berry's matchup next week. GWS, that's a tough matchup, so no, they do not have an easier matchup. What else from this game? Lions, again, for those people that got him in Supercoach a couple of weeks ago because he was on the bubble and then he didn't play, he scored 41, so good for cash generation there, and you can finally cash him out. Archie, Tunstall, Starcevic, and then Charlie Cameron just got held in the wet. Then we go over to Geelong. Myers, a 96. Tanner Bruin, 95. Holmes, 91. Bowes, an 86 and a 124. He was absolutely huge in Supercoach terms with that ratio. Mitch Duncan, 84. Guthrie, 83. O'Connor, 81, and then you have Toby Conway, 77. If he started with Toby Conway, we wouldn't have started with Luke Jackson. And we would have been so much better because we would have... this would have been... It's just frustrating, man, because Toby Conway looks so good, and now we basically can't pick him up because he is... Because you know that the ruck merry-go-round is going to happen, and they're going to bring in Stanley next week, and Toby Conway's going to sit, and then they're going to do that the whole season, and that's the way that sort of... And then next year, where is it? Conway isn't going to be fancy or Supercoach relevant next year either. So that's sort of the way that I'm looking at this, and just a little bit annoyed. Parfitt 76. Glad I didn't go there in Supercoach a couple of weeks ago. There was a thought of going Parfitt, as he really hasn't performed. Stengel, Dangerfield, Atkins, Cameron, and then Dempsey of 54 with a 53 in Supercoach. Probably a move on in both formats, to be honest with you now, looking at it. Maybe for Dane Zorko himself. Blickarves, Hawkins, Stewart got subbed out at halftime, had a pretty bad concussion. But it looks bad, but someone said it might have been precautionary, the sub out. So he'll miss the next game as well. So he's probably a trade out in fantasy just because he's now going to have that mega break even. Stewart here as we look. I didn't type it not right. Stewart has a 116. He's going to drop 50k. He's going to be 800k with probably a 130, 140 break even. So he's going to drop to sort of that 780, 770k. And has he really done anything too special outside of it? No, I think Holmes has absolutely ruined that role. Him and Duncan down back have basically ruined the role for Stewart. And he looked good in the first half, but he was still only going to put up probably 100, and that was one of his better games here with what was going to be 26-4 if you extrapolated it out. So am I looking at Stewart ever? Probably, maybe in the Supercoach if he does in the end when he drops in price, because he's going to drop. So there may be a plan to get Stewart in late as like an extra primo, but he just failed. And Henry, De Koning, Colin Jasny, Henry, and then Clark came on off the bench for a 25 in fantasy and an 11 in Supercoach, and he's just going to be a dead rookie as the Geelong players are going to get Gary Rowan back. There is actually potential that maybe Ollie Dempsey or something like that drops out of the side now, but it is time to move on an Ollie Dempsey and some other guys as they're just cashed out at this point. So got to move them on. And that's what I'll be doing. I reckon, even though I said that Ollie Dempsey is going to stick around for a while, he's just had one bad game, and got to move on as there are other mid prices that aren't fully cashed out that are doing a little bit better than Dempsey that just need to be capped at this point in time. So we'll be doing that instead. But anyway, that pretty much is the video. They're going through the Brisbane versus Geelong game, in which there is so much temptation to bring in Jane Zorko, but that could be an injury kill waiting to happen. So it is tempting. I may go down the Supercoach route just because I have no Whitfield and no Fisher, so there's a lot more breathing room with the round 12. So that's probably the reason why I'll do it in Supercoach, but I may not do it in fantasy just because. But then again, I may do it in fantasy just because that forward line is such a mess. So there may be actually room to go that, as he's going to gain more points for me by chucking out my forward rookies than I am with the defensive rookies that we've got at the moment. And the defensive line, I can sort of mix that around. And so it's sort of like, is Will Graham going to score more? Is someone like a Darcy Wilson going to score more regularly? And I think I know the answer to that. So anyway, that's some of my thoughts on the Brisbane versus Geelong game, in which Brisbane looked horrific. 4 goals, 13. So Brisbane lose 3 games at the Gabba. Who thought that after not losing a game at the Gabba in like 18 months, they've lost their first 3 games there. So they got to turn it into a fortress now, if they're going to have any chance at finals, as they fall to, what are they now, 2-4, something like that. So Brisbane's got a lot of work to do. Geelong Cats 6-0, almost a couple wins away now. Geelong from, if we look at Dempsey now. And their schedule, Carlton, Melbourne, Port. So they got 3 tough games, I reckon, here. And then they get Suns, Giants, Richmond, Sydney, then the bye. So they have a really coasty run in with Bulldogs, North, Adelaide, Freo, St Kilda and West Coast Eagles. So they have a really coast-worthy run in that they may even rest their stars in that run in if all goes well for them. So that pretty much is the video for the recap there, and I guess I'll see you guys in the last 3 recaps on the Monday of the Western Derby, and then the couple games on the Sunday that are about to happen. So I'll see you guys in the videos tomorrow. Bye guys.